Fraser Island, here we come. I find it just so cool driving along a beach like this. I mean, it's something that you can't really do anywhere else in the world, and for that reason alone, I love it. And it's fun.
I just love traveling along Fraser Island. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it is the largest sand island in the world. And the cool thing about this is that you can drive along the beach. It's so incredible.
Yeah, the longest beach here is 75 miles long, which is pretty awesome. Get in your 4x4 and just hitting the speed and, you know, going along there, having the beautiful ocean on one side and then these amazing sand dunes on the other side really is something that's incredibly unique. I've never driven in a landscape like this before.
Pretty cool. You take a ferry over from the mainland and then you just hit the road and drive. And there are a lot of sights to see along the way. It's not just to drive and stop and look at the beach. There are many sights like
the shipwreck. They have a shipwreck right there that's been sitting there. I think it just had its like 100-year anniversary of sitting on the beach in 2015. And you know, that's pretty cool. It's probably the most popular one.
Yeah, I think it's actually falling apart. So you better get here soon. You can't go within 3 meters of it because they say it's so dangerous that it's eroding and everything. And I heard one woman today say that she couldn't believe how much it had sunk. I guess it has really sunk into the sand over the years.
That's
so
pretty
it's
cool.
Pretty neat to walk around and see.
What else can you see here on Fraser
There's
Island?
the champagne pools. Now that's almost at the end of the drive of the beach. You'd want to drive to the very end and get to the champagne pools, and that is one of the most picturesque places on the island.
Definitely. Heading to the champagne pools.
Once you've parked, getting to the champagne pools is an easy walk along the boardwalk. At low tide, it's a popular swimming spot to let the waves crash over you as you sit in the pools. You have to drive 2 hours either side of high tide. So you want to make sure that high tide is at least 2 hours away from when you drive. Keep an eye on the tide table so you aren't stranded somewhere during high tide. Many people get stuck on the beach or end up having to drive inland to find their way back. So if you are driving a long way on the island, be sure to give yourself plenty of time and stay away from wet sand. We saw many people stuck during our time on the island. It's a free-for-all today.
It is. It's mass chaos out here. Lots of cars, and probably the closest to high tide you can drive.
And that's how it's done.
In a truck like this, anyways.
There are dingoes on the island. The wild dogs of Fraser Island are famous as they are the last pure dingoes in Australia. You are not allowed to feed them and do not approach them. They are at the top of the food chain on the island, so they have no problem hunting. If you feed them, it disrupts the island's natural balance. Now it's getting exciting. We're going inland to Lake Mackenzie, and we're on a sand track on the way in. This is the world's largest sand island, so what was I expecting? A sand track, of course. How is it, Dave?
Pretty awesome. It's a lot of fun to drive on. You really just got to watch out because it's one lane. You got to watch out for other people. At least they have pull-offs. Pretty cool though. This is fun. Another great place you have to visit is where we are right now on Lake Mackenzie. It's about an 11-kilometer drive from Yurong Resort inland. And let me tell you, this is just a spectacular sight. It's a beautiful landscape, this very calm white sand, blue waters, and really, you kind of have it all to yourself when you're here.
There are more than 100 freshwater lakes waiting to be explored. Another beautiful one we visited was Lake Wabby. It's the deepest lake on the island, and it's famous for its giant hammerstone sandblow that plunges into it.
Also, make sure you get yourself over to Central Station, which is on the west side of the island. It's very jungly and green, and it really makes you feel like you're in a completely different place than from that big 75-mile-long beach to these beautiful lakes. So there's a big contrast between the landscapes here on Fraser Island.
You definitely want to make sure you have a good 4x4 and get off the beach. Actually, it's more fun driving inland, I thought, than the beach. You got these off-track, sandy tracks that are just bumpy, lots of hills. It's a real adventure, actually, driving inland.
That it is, and make sure everybody who's in the car with you actually drives, because it's a lot different being a passenger than it is being the driver.
Definitely more fun driving, I can attest. And then you also want to make sure that you lower your PSI in your
tire
tires.
pressure.
It's really important that you go down to at least 20 PSI for the sand. It keeps you from getting stuck, it gives you more traction, and you just have more control of the car.
And there's lots of different places to stay here on Fraser Island. The majority of people actually camp. There's a lot of different camping areas all along here. Just check which things are open and which are closed. And there's also a couple different resorts, like the Urong Resort, as well as Kingfisher Resort. So you have your choice. One's on the east side and one's on the west side of the island.
The beaches are patrolled and the speed limit is 40 kilometers per hour. You'll come across a lot of terrain, from shallow rivers, deep sand tracks, steep climbs, and extensive plunges. If you hesitate just a little, you may find yourself stuck. When looking at the map, things look closer than they appear. The travel is bumpy, it's difficult, there's wet sand, and it can take time to travel just a few kilometers. You'll also be sharing the road with airplanes. Yes, there's a landing strip right on the beach. So watch out for other drivers, planes, dingoes, sand traps, water, and rivers. If you keep your wits about you, you'll have an amazing time driving the world's largest sand island. So when you come to Queensland, make sure that you add Fraser Island to your Australian adventure. You won't regret it.
After a wonderful time here on Fraser Island, it's come to an end, and we head onto the ferry to head back over to Hervey Bay. And if you enjoyed our video, make sure to subscribe below.
Check it out. You need to subscribe to see more of Dave and Deb in your inbox every week. Travel videos from around the world.
And who doesn't want that?
I don't know.